Well, good evening. We're out on the porch for probably one of the last weekends where we can be out on the porch and do this. And I'm Dr. Miller.
I'm Jessica.
So, interestingly enough, we've had we've been doing a lot of work with the Institute for Functional Medicine, working on a second functional medicine degree, working with our patients, and getting people trying to figure out how to bring about foundational health and resilience. And so, one of the products that we use is through Microbiome Labs, and we're very interested in the microbiome because things that the body can't use or can't make, we seem to be able to inoculate, for lack of a better term, the gut so that it can have that and it can start to produce its own or have the bacteria produce that for us. And you have to remember that the microbiome produces 80% of our neurotransmitters, things like serotonin, melatonin, norepinephrine, epinephrine, GABA. Um, and so it's very interesting how we can start to change that. And so, I mean, even in your case with trying to work on your inflammation and doing stuff like that, there are core tenets that we want to do and want to follow. And even tonight, Jessica was over at a house of a patient drawing blood to do labs and to start the process of healing someone from the inside out again. But let's take a moment and talk about IgG. What do you know about the IgG? I didn't really give you a lot of time to study.
I don't really know what I don't know specifically what it does. It takes toxins out of your gut.
It binds to lipopolysaccharides. And so if you go and look up any disease, whether it be diabetes, whether it be SARS, whether it be COVID, any of those diseases, the IgG, the what they call SBI, serum derived bovine immunoglobulins, will bind to this in our gut. And so, one of the main things that this does is there was a white paper, a study that was recently released that the product that specifically that we use, the Microbiome Labs product, it's called Mega IgG 2000. And they did a study where they took the plates, they inoculated the plates with COVID. Then, after they inoculated the plates with COVID, they had a control, which was a fish gel, and then they had the IgG. And one of the mechanisms for COVID to get into the cell is through the ACE part of the cell, and it gets in, and then the spike protein is allowed to attach, proliferate, and then you start to have a problem with the replication of the virus inside the cell, and that's when everything goes sideways and we have all kinds of problems. IgG is part of the adaptive immune system in us. So this means that it changes and it works on the system. It's more specific. And so what they found in this study was when they used the IgG to bind to COVID specifically, it reduced the viral load by 34 up to 34%. And so that means that it reduces your ability to actually be infected. Now, this is a white paper. This has not been a double placebo controlled, double blind study, but it's showing promise, and mechanistically it works pretty well in us that way. I mean, it truly binds to everything in the gut and will transport it out. So the IgG that we use to help with IBS, um, IBS-D or C. So if you have diarrhea or if you're constipated, we actually use this to limit the amount of toxins inside the gut that will start to cause problems and cause the diarrhea and cause the constipation. Other uses for this, I mean, they've done it in irritable bowel, like I said. They've done it with diabetes. They have shown it to work with HIV. I mean, it's a pretty interesting thing that we have access to, actually. That's an all natural, uses the body's own immune system to do the fighting for us, and that way it just helps heal us from the inside out, which is one of the taglines of Integrated Health of Indiana is we heal you from the inside out, and that's exactly how we want to go about doing it. So I've talked a whole bunch about a study. Anything interesting?
Not really, other than we eat a lot of it.
Yeah, we do go through this stuff. And honestly, with cold and flu season coming up, the challenges to the body, reducing viral load, reducing body burden, those are the things that you really, really want to do. And let's just take a moment to actually differentiate. There is a reason why, when you buy things from me or other doctors, that these things are a little more expensive. Because if you're getting a quality product, and I want to talk about quality, you have a good manufacturing procedures stamp. You generally have a third party assay. And so, when I don't know how many times, how many patients have we had that do a micronutrient profile that are taking, big box store vitamins and their micronutrient profile is garbage.
Most of them. A lot of them. Most of them, I would say.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Especially on just like specific, like maybe not all of them, but they usually come back poor.
Yeah.
And they're spending a lot of money.
Yes. We've had several patients. We had one patient in particular. I went through her.
Upset.
Yeah. I went through her vitamin regimen. She was spending $1,000 a month on vitamins. And we've actually gone through and tweaked her regime now, and she's doing much, much better. And it's funny though, most of our patients are women seem to be more health conscious than men.
Yeah, but they drag their little men with them.
Yeah, we do actually. Most of our programs are for family health. We want everybody to be healthy, and that's just part of it. Hey, Libby's walking on her leg. Our dog
Those
keeps.
are herbs. Actually, that now we can talk about that.
Go ahead.
So, we talked about turmeric and quercetin.
Yep.
What's the other one? All the time about how we take this, and I actually have dislocated my elbow, and that's what I took, was turmeric, all kinds of turmeric, because just help. So I was searching, we're trying to heal our dog up for the second time, and she holds her legs up, so we thought, it's her stomach again, so we tweaked her biome, and I found her doggy herbs. Actually, they're human grade herbs. Most of it is turmeric, and I can't remember what the other things are, but this is her second day on it. I gave it to her this morning and yesterday morning, and apparently it's doing its job.
And so, herbs, turmeric, actually garlic, the serum derived immunoglobulins, these all affect the microbiome. They help bring out the beneficial and keystone species. I'm probably going to do a talk on Indian herbs and Indian cooking spices because it seems the more spices we use and the more variety of that stuff that we have, the better it is for our microbiome. But I mean, fast food, convenience foods, ultra processed foods, they are all just garbage. They don't do anything for us. So if there's anything we can say about this stuff is, variety is key. We've seen the power of herbs
and sauerkraut. Oh, don't forget the fermented food.
Yeah.
So we actually gave our dog sauerkraut. She loves it. She eats it up.
And those are things that, they're cheap, free, easy things. Roughly, sauerkraut you can make yourself. Um,
Now our dog likes all kinds of cool stuff like vegetables and fruits, but we have never given her fermented food. So we tried that. She loved it, and we always. I laughed this morning and said Libby's our science project, but actually we're all our science project. So we're all a science project. So.
And that's, as interesting or as quirky or as whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it. We're all what they call an N of one. We are all our own study. Her microbiome isn't the same as mine. She can eat. She's a little more carb tolerant than I am. Gracie's more carb tolerant.
The girls are usually more carb tolerant, aren't they?
Girls tend to be a little more carb tolerant than men. Women are more carb tolerant than men. Um, and so it's one of those things where it's finding out what works for you. So if you're having a challenge, and this is what we do. If you're having a challenge with your health, it's not going to be quick and it's not going to be solved with one pill usually. It's figuring out what works for you, and it's giving you a foundational healing program. So if you want to go out, if you want to have a weekend or a week where you just go off the rails, you know how to come back and clean yourself up. Or I'm 51 now. I am thinking about longevity. So I am changing my lifestyle and all my habits to support an anti inflammatory lifestyle. We're trying to heal Jessica up. Her elbow is still not great, but you almost went through full range of motion today.
Yeah, I'm weights. I'm trying to do some weights with it, stretching it. It's frozen sort of.
So, just part of the rehab process.
No pain, no gain, I guess.
And so, with that being said, if you're interested in the Microbiome Labs products, our code is IHI, so you can go into the patient direct and type in the code IHI, and that gives you access to the IgG 2000, actually all of the Microbiome Labs products, and we use them, we like them, I use them with my patients, and that is actually what the study was done on, was the Mega IgG 2000. So if you have some fears about COVID, if you have some fears about these things that are going on, that's a foundational product for us. So get started on it and just see how well you do. Have a great night.